Welcome everybody to the Pipe Classic Qualifier. It is night number 4. We are your hosts. I'm Eli Harrington, joined with Raj and Tech. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Big shout out to everybody who just tuned in from the Instagram Live. Awesome interview with Marble Slinger and Pyroscopic. That was presented by our friends at the North Jersey Diamond Wheel Company. A big thank you to them for their generosity. And a huge shout out. I hope everybody got a chance to watch that. It will be on IGTV afterwards. So if you didn't check it out live, you can still see that on the Burn Gallery and the Pipe Classic Instagram channels. Really appreciate that. Awesome to see some insight and really some OG, like renegade artists.
Yeah.
Bringing that energy. And, we're sitting here in suits. We've been talking about competition and it was just a good kind of grounding and a cool to hear from the people who will help make this community what it is.
Exactly.
And advance this so far. So a big sincere shout out to you guys, Marble Slinger and Pyroscopic for hosting that. And again, North Jersey Diamond Wheel Company for making that possible. So, Raj, we have got big news tonight. We have got our final 4 down to our final 2. So our judges are counting the boats right now. We're going to announce it live during this stream. So don't tune out. You guys are going to see a countdown on the website. About 20 minutes or so, we're going to announce those winners. We're just doing the final tally. So if you're on the website now, you can see what happened in the last round. You can see the votes from our 21 Council of Glass Pipe Classic members who voted and helped us narrow that down. And we're going to announce our final 2 competitors and actually have some words with our final 2 competitors. So before we do that, we want to give a big fat shout out and thank you to our sponsors making this possible. Glass Torch Technologies, Moodmats, you guys have seen them all week on each side of the bracket. Really appreciate their generosity. Those torches are a huge deal, so much so that we had so many people trying to vote that we've even rethought this system. So that's because this is a real competition, real things on the line. Glass Torch Technologies and Moodmats, big thank you to you guys. We've also got a ton of other sponsors who have helped make this possible here, Raj. And I'm pulling up our list, but they've been with us all week, and most of them have been here all year. So if you're in the Burn Gallery, you'll probably see some of these banners up on the wall. Glass Alchemy, The Flow, the Stoked Smoke Shop down there in Connecticut, Glass Vegas, Ropana LLC, Namaste, Vermont Cannabis Solutions, Fat Guy Edibles, Torch Talk, which we've enjoyed some ourselves this week, Upstate Elevator Company, and Willie's Wood. A sincere thank you to all of the sponsors helping to make this possible. First of its kind event, Raj, and we wanted to start out by sharing with the folks what the outside world's seen of this event, right? Because our folks have been watching this, and you're watching this. You're part of the glass community probably, but
yeah.
A really neat part of this is that we've gotten to expose this to a whole other group of other people.
Yeah, plenty of people in Burlington are aware of Pipe Classic.
And, the Pipe Classic, it's been kind of an annual event here in Vermont, and we actually had some coverage from our local CBS affiliate about this new Pipe Classic Qualifier. So, going to give a shout out to the CannaPlanners team. I think we have this pulled up. It's just about 2 minutes, but we want to give you folks a sense of what the civilians are seeing. This is what folks who are watching the news, whether online or on a TV, I think they still do that. This is what they've been seeing and what they saw the other night about the Pipe Classic. So we'll go ahead and throw that up. Want to encourage you guys, comment on here. Shout out to Torch Talk for tuning in on YouTube. Drop some comments in here, but enjoy this video from Channel 3. See how the local news covered Pipe Classic this year.
An annual Pipe Classic competition has made one shop in Burlington a household name in the glassblowing community. This year, that competition is still on, but as with most other events during the pandemic, it's gone virtual. Scott Fleischman is live at the Burn Gallery to explain. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Kat. The Pipe Classic Qualifier is underway. Round 1 is over. Round 2 is coming to an end at 4:30. 32 glass blowers are involved in this competition, and they are spread out throughout the country. This is set up like an NCAA basketball tournament. It starts with 16 first-round one-on-one matchups. The competitors film 3 videos. One of them is creating the pipe submission. The second is a description of what they've made. And the third is a 360-degree look at the finished product. People can then go online and vote for their favorite. The person with the highest vote total moves on to the next round, and a champion will be crowned Saturday. Patty Donnelly is the grand ambassador here at the Burn Gallery, and we have Peter over here behind us making a pipe in the workspace here. Patty, 15 years for this competition. Now, if this were normal times, what would things look like right
What
now?
would we be saying? Well, I'll be honest, we'd be saying something that would not fly in the COVID era. Because this room, shoulder to shoulder all week, you know, it only gets crazier as it all progresses. We're talking hundreds of attendees from all 50 states. We've had international attendees as well. So there was truly no way to do it this year because of how much of a party it typically is. But we knew that we wanted to innovate. We wanted to make something, you know, do more than survive and really create a way for the community to get together, unify, enjoy this art form that we're all so passionate about, you know, but from the safety and security of our own homes.
Quickly, a background on how this got started.
Yeah, so the Pipe Classic, again, it's been running now 15 years. It is the world's first ever and thus longest running pipe making competition. It's 12 artists, again, from all over the nation. They each get 12 hours to make something from scratch, in-house. It must function. You know, we've seen all kinds of variables get in the way. You know, pieces shatter. You know, people run out of time. So, you know, it is very much a high-pressure competition, and it separates the boys from the men. That's for sure.
Did you think that there would be a time where this may not happen this year? Did you really have to think about how you were going to pull it off virtually?
Absolutely. I mean, what we knew for sure was that we didn't want to do some kind of sort of reduced version of the Pipe Classic, you know, where, you know, everyone's on eggshells, perhaps, you know, we're at limited capacity in the shop. We knew that we couldn't do it as we typically would. So, yeah, I mean, this has been, from the ground up, I mean, a completely new experience. Thank goodness, big shout out to CannaPlanners, who is a local web design service who really has helped us get the bracket going, get the videos looking slick, and I hope everyone will go and check out pipeclassic.com to cast their vote and see what we've put together.
Real quick, what's up for grabs for the winner?
Yeah, so Glass Torch Technologies, one of our sponsors, has been gracious enough to provide this hand-painted one-of-one torch that's going to go to the #1 competitor. #2 even is also going to get a one-of-one torch.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
There's prizes galore.
All right, well, Patty, we'll catch up with you a little bit later because, you know, like any good competition, it needs a post-game bracket breakdown, right? We'll get into more of that coming up later on the Channel 3 News First at 4. But for now, we're live in Burlington. Scott Fleischman, Channel 3 News.
We'll look forward.
All right, so thank you to Channel 3 News. Like we said, it's been really a testament to the team at the Burn Gallery and the Pipe Classic, you know, community that's built this up and made this, you know, an annual event here in Burlington, Vermont. So we appreciate the coverage, the attention, you know, and Raj, it's been a really neat evolution. You know, this Pipe Classic qualifier,
Yeah.
we've kind of tended to forget that this is one event that's a small part of a bigger event even too, right? So it's the Pipe Classic qualifier because it leads to the Pipe Classic. And so what we need to remind folks is that what we're competing for here is one spot to join a list of giants in the scene and to be part of this final roster who are going to compete next year in this very intense competition. So, Raj, as the man behind the torch and the man who knows a lot of these competitors, who's been here, who's been studying it down, we've actually got an opportunity for you to break down who the competitors in Pipe Classic 15 will be.
Yep.
We've got a little preview so you can actually see these are the other artists who are already confirmed, and our winner is going to be privileged or challenged enough to compete against some of these giants. So again, we're going to reveal our finalists in about 10-15 minutes. We're just counting our votes up here. We have a result, and we will give it to you and tell you who the finalists are. But before we do, Raj, let's talk a little bit about these artists, these competitors who are already in here, and go through who we have.
So first up, we have Cowboy. And this guy is a real beast. He won the DFO with Buck. He had an amazing piece in then. He's been around for a long, long time. He's one of the early line work guys that was killing it, you know, from day one. We know he's going to really, really bring some stiff competition.
And I think if we counted up all the decades of experience, you know, of these artists behind the glass, again, it really is a testament to the event and the level of competition, you know, that we have this elite group. So I think we have 11 total competitors, right? And then the winner of this qualifier will be the 12th. So let's go through competitor number 2.
Yeah. Next up is Hamm. Actually, we got Laceface coming up. So Laceface, I believe, placed last year. And for those who don't know, the way it works is when you get selected by the committee to be in Pipe Classic, you're given 2 years. because there's such a learning curve involved with it, and so the first year is usually a learning experience. Not to say that people don't come in on their first year and win. That does happen.
Right.
But the second year is really when we see people step their game up by several notches. Laceface over this last year has actually gone in a new direction, installing chandeliers. This is one we're looking at right now. And I'm curious to see what she's going to bring back to the pipe world from her chandeliering experiences.
Well, and it's interesting because we have seen in the Pipe Classic in the last few years especially, we have seen some chandelier pieces, you know, and they are still functional, but it's wild. I know, shout out to our friends at Ropana. I know they took home one a few years ago, and it is being used as a chandelier and other things as well. But we should mention, too, these pictures that we're putting up here, these are ones that you had selected, right? So these aren't necessarily...
ones that I felt like really represented something that they might be bringing to the competition.
Exactly, and like you said, I think that chandelier is a great example. And again, we just want to encourage people, on the Pipe Classic Instagram, you can see all of these handles, so go check these artists out. You can get a sense for what they're about and what they've done, and maybe even some of the style that they're going to bring here.
Yeah, so let's get the next artist up there.
All right.
All right, Joe Peters.
Ooh.
Now, he is one of the guys that is at the top of the game. And, you know, it's my personal opinion that when you're at the top of the game, it almost works against you. People almost expect you to go so much harder than everybody else. It's almost like a disadvantage that you have to defy their expectations to such a level that they say, you know what? I have to give it to this guy.
Right. And you'll see that. I mean, you know, not only do they have a target on their back and that extra pressure, but even artistically, you'll see sometimes people, you know, trying to use some of their style, right?
Yeah,
or use some of their signature technique and say, hey, I know how to do this as well.
Yeah.
And even incorporating that, right?
And Joe actually, on his first round through Pipe Classic, and another rule if people aren't aware, if you don't win by the end of your second year, you actually have to wait 5 years before you're allowed back into the competition.
Okay.
And that really gives an artist a chance to, you know, refine themselves and what they're doing before they come back in. And one of the years, Joe made such a crazy piece that was just nothing you would have ever expected to see from him. It was unlike any other style that he put out, and that was just incredible to see that he had that sort of a dynamic ability.
Well, and I love the system of the Pipe Classic in which you have folks who you bring them in, you know, you give them 2 years to understand it, but then they don't get to come back right away, right? You know, so you are constantly cycling through, bringing in new energy, bringing in new artists, new styles, new techniques, giving them a fair chance to succeed, you know, and then leaving the window open and saying, hey, as you continue to build and refine, come back again. Yeah. So, like you said, repeat competitors like this who know the format, know the competition, at the top of their game, some of the folks who we think will probably be heavy favorites next year. Okay.
Yeah, let's see the next artist. And we're looking at Hamm. Now, this guy is unbelievable. Every time I've seen him compete in any competition, he just brings something on such a scale. I mean, some of the most legendary pieces that have been made in any competition anywhere were made by Hamm. And not only that, he's kind of the guy who's been attributed to adapting recycler technology into the pipe scene, and is in a lot of respects, you know, the father of the recycler pipe.
Yeah, and like, I mean, that's a really good point. And, you know, this recycler, I think this is maybe why you chose this picture, right? Yeah. As kind of an example of this. So for the folks who aren't, you know, maybe familiar, can you maybe talk a little bit just about this tube work and kind of how this actually flows through? Because I think, you know, recycler is a term that we know here in the scene, but for people who are learning and kind of what we're seeing here with Hamm's piece.
Well, I mean, I'm no expert on the recycler. I'm actually not that good at making them. Yeah. But the way it works is that instead of having a traditional, the air goes in and it bubbles through with the water, and the water flows to the top of the piece and back down with the air. Exactly. And it allows for more filtration. It's very aesthetically pleasing. And another one of the things that Hamm brings to the table that is unique to him is his ability to create very sharp shapes that are just so crispy, and he moves glass in such ways and pieces them together that is very unorthodox.
Yeah, that contrast, that asymmetry, beautiful piece here, and the recycler explanation makes a lot of sense. It's also just, sometimes makes it more fun. Like we said, function is part of this too, and that is a component. So,
absolutely.
Our next artist,
Hickory. Now, Hickory actually, he won Pipe Classic during his last tour, and now he's back again after waiting 5 years. This will be his second year. What we're looking at here is the piece he made last year, and I heard a rumor that he's got a special new technique he might show us.
Really? And debut, because, you know, Hickory is somebody, especially those of us here in the Northeast, you know, legend in the game and really signature style. You know, I mean, you talk about that wood, you know, the birch, you know, the original, the wood, and now we're seeing kind of a different take, but similar with the elemental kind of aspects.
Elemental.
Yeah, really,
Right.
really love it. It's hard not to be a homer as Vermont people, and we are lucky that we have so many of these talented folks here in the Northeast. But this is really a national competition, and these folks are competing. You know, you can see in their Instagram pages too the enormous followings that they have. It's for a good reason. So Hickory, somebody who's been a great ambassador for the Pipe Classic.
Absolutely,
and happy to have him back.
He trains hard for the event, which not everyone does. He really trains himself like an athlete. And so we know he's going to bring real stiff competition this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of.
Next up, we got another Vermont favorite, Kurt B. And every single time Kurt B comes to Pipe Classic, he brings something new that nobody could have seen coming. He uses elements that aren't even considered a part of what we do. One year, he created a whole piece using the shadow of the piece as part of his piece. Last year, he brought in his whole sandblaster with a new invention that he created in order to sandblast more efficiently. I just have no idea what he's going to show us this year.
Well, and like you said, I mean, I think people see, you know, that signature style, the chinoiserie,
yes.
you know, pattern, that color. I know collectors out there love Kurt B. They've done some exclusive drops. And again, you know, the Northeast being represented here, we appreciate it. But that extra insight, like you said, it's not just about the material that you're using or that aesthetic. You know, it's also the innovation that these artists are bringing. And again, the ones we're talking about have been in this for decades.
Yeah, this might be Kurt's third tour through Pipe Classic, actually. And the piece we're actually looking at now is a collaboration with Certo, who is the current reigning champ. So let's take a look at the Certo piece. Now, Certo has a lot of tools in his kit. He has this water flow style he can go with. He's got this milli type style. I'm not sure even what he's doing there, but it's very akin to milli work if it's not actual milli work. And then he's got the rig shape, the torches, and the squirt bottles. He can really come at this competition from a lot of angles, and we have no way of telling what he's going to do.
Well, and that's like you said, you know, sometimes having all those different tools in the kit and then being able to come in with a concept, and maybe it's something that's, you know, super topical.
Yeah.
You know, we'll talk about that in the bracket breakdown with one of our pieces, but this Certo piece, and like you said, a previous competitor, defending champ, beautiful example here. We have, I believe, 3 more competitors to look at, right?
Yes, that is right.
Okay.
Up next is JOP. Oh, excuse me, Pakoh. Now, Pakoh is one of the people who actually pioneered sandblasting along with Slinger, who's his brother, within the pipe scene.
There you go. Okay, see, it's funny you talk about.
That's how it ties together.
Well, we know with sports, you know, you have these athletic dynasties, you know, and you have even siblings who are in, you know, whatever league it is together at the same time.
Yeah,
you know, the Williams sisters, something like that. And so it's cool when you have artists who are related, because so many of these folks work together, right, and have been in this community. So especially with that Slinger interview earlier, I know Pakoh stands on his own as an artist, of course, but a cool connection to make. So
yeah, actually, Pakoh won, I believe, Pipe Classic number 3, and the thing that he brings is not even not an intellectualism, but he ties it into culture in a way. Like here, we're looking at a designer dumpster. Like it's there's a humor behind it. Like he's making commentary on society and culture, and that's so hard to do in glass because, you know, sometimes with digital media it's easy to portray an idea, but glass has physical limitations, so it's so much harder to really convey those high level thoughts through it, and he does such a good job of that. That's
such a great point about, you know, we talk about this with each piece having sort of a story, you know, and having a narrative. And that commentary, that satire, you know, I mean, hearing that Slinger interview too. I mean, these are some funny, you know, intellectual cats for sure.
Yeah.
As a lot of these folks are. So no surprise there. Our final 2 competitors who are confirmed. This is again for next year, Pipe Classic 15. We're going to see who these monsters are that are going to take on our victim.
So this is JOP. He's got his most iconic style is the chicken, which is not represented here, but I chose this piece to show because it just shows how strong his other styles are. He's capable of doing large-scale assembly. He has this ability to sculpt with a realism factor that's just like, I mean, look at that baby face. It looks like an actual baby face. And then he ties in some cultural aspects with, the cones and the gun. And I believe even he uses a technique where he puts together sections, not where he's welding them together, but he uses sometimes fittings and non-glass components that give the pieces the ability to move almost like a doll.
Yes. I mean, like you said, that innovation, and again, you have these artists who maybe become super well known for one style, or one aesthetic. We talked about Kurt, and we talked, the honey bears, right? Good example. This one, JOP with the chickens, and again, just the skill and artistry and how dynamic they are. That just because you might be used to seeing one style doesn't mean that's all it's about.
Exactly. All right, let's check out the next one. Ick E Glass. Now, Icky is one of my favorite glass artists personally. He's got such good flow. Every single piece I've ever seen from him is just crispy, crispy, crispy. I mean, his horn work is tight, his shaping is tight, his function is tight, color work is tight, and just the general aesthetic is just jaw-droppingly beautiful. I believe this is his first round in Pipe Classic and his first year in Pipe Classic. So,
wow.
I mean, I think he's got a strong chance to pull it home. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. All right. Love to hear that. And again, having newcomers in the mix.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And again, why we're doing this with the qualifier. It's about boosting these artists, about sharing these artists, and building our community. And again, we talk about our last competitor who's confirmed, somebody who is no stranger to this scene.
Yep. Hicdogg.
Hicdogg. All right.
Now, Hicdogg is actually a Champs Game winner, so we know he has the ability to create that winning formula that we've talked about all week long. The thing that I think is the strongest aspect of Hicdogg is his just absolute mastery of assembly skills and the way he makes every piece rock solid. I mean, there's just sometimes you'll see a piece and you look at it and you're like, wow, that might break easily. But he really thinks about the longevity of his pieces. And he's got his aesthetic that he really sticks to, and it works for him.
Well, and, I love the layering. That's something you see in the Hicdogg pieces. It's like, it is, there are organs in there. There are rib cages. And, you talk about that Champs piece, which I think had almost 6 or 7 different kinds of functional pipes within it that all disassembled in different components. So, we know that being able to go big, having things that are dynamic, multifaceted, that's huge. So, Hicdogg is somebody that's always a favorite. And like we said, we know is out here competing, used to these competition formats a little bit too.
Exactly.
And that's another good point probably, right? I mean, if you're not used to this format, it takes some adjustment.
It does take some adjustment.
So
those are the 11 competitors currently in Pipe Classic 15. And go follow them on Instagram, see what they're all about.
Yeah, check it out and see if you can get some insight into what's coming up. I know that's what all of us are doing, paying attention, looking for clues about new styles, new techniques. And we know a lot of people are keeping it close to the vest. It's secretive. People don't want it to get out. So excited to see, check out those artists. But we do have the big news for you. We are ready to announce the results of the last round. So we were going from our final 8 competitors down to our final 4. We are ready to announce our final 2. We will do that momentarily in the bracket breakdown. All right, welcome back. So we talked about this, Raj. We've gone through. We've been tweaking the event as we've gone. But we have, the website is updated. You can see it here on the stream. And a big shout out to everybody watching on YouTube. You can check out pipeclassic.com if you want to see more detail. As you can see, we have 21 members of the Pipe Classic Council who stepped in, took over the judging. And these are the folks who help pick our competitors every year.
Yep.
Certainly no stranger, certainly not unqualified people. So with that being said, let's look at our final 4. we had Ick Glass taking on Terry Sharp. And then we had Windstar Glass taking on Baller Glass. So we have a result. We have tallied the votes. We are ready to announce. Do you want to start with the top bracket, which I guess would be our Glass Torch Technologies bracket? So let's look at that top matchup.
Well, we had Hallie coming in with 9 votes and Terry coming in with 12 votes. So congratulations, Terry. You are moving on to the final round. And
this is a piece that we've seen, talked about it with networking. We talked about the story. We talked about this is the Plague Doctor mask piece that we've seen. So really tight matchup there. We had a great time talking with these artists, and we're actually going to talk to some of these artists, our final 2 competitors. So with that being said, who is going to be facing Terry Sharp in our finals?
Well, we had Windstar versus Baller in the other bracket. Windstar took home 18 votes. Baller took home 3. So congratulations, Windstar.
Congratulations.
You are the other finalist.
All right, so we have our final matchup set. We've got Terry Sharp, we've got Windstar Glass, and again, a big shout out to all of the competitors who participated in this, took a risk, put themselves out there, wanted to show what they had, and again, we were able to expose so many new artists and so many new people. We had people from Sweden and South Africa watching this, who have been tuning in and all over the world. So a sincere thank you to all of us. We're going to be announcing our winner tomorrow night, but before we do that, Raj, you actually had a chance to speak to our 2 finalists and a bunch of other artists. We were hanging out here last night for a while. You had a chance to actually speak to some of these artists. So let's talk to, who do you want to talk to first? I think we're just going to do our 2 finalists, right?
Sure. So these were just some final words that I wanted the competitors to share about their pieces and their entries to give you just one last taste of what they're going to bring. So let's take a look at that Terry Sharp clip.
So there's just a couple things I want to point out about this piece and why I chose to make it. I wanted to make a piece of art as well as a very functional pipe. So I went with the hat on top of it so that you could set it on a shelf and make it look like you just have a piece of crazy art sitting around. But then you can remove the hat, which has a 10 mil joint on it, so it sits in there nice and snug. You put a little nail inside there. And it's a nice, good, functional water piece. And you can set it back down with the water still in it. Put the hat back on it. And put it right back on the shelf.
All right,
Woo!
Thank you, Terry. And let's check out Windstar's video.
Hi, my name's Windstar. I just want to say a little bit about my entry for Pipe Classic. I really put my heart on the line with this piece, stepped out of my comfort zone on many multiple levels, and really just tried to put it all out there and represent what I could bring to the Pipe Classic and what I'm good at. Just wanted to say thank y'all for taking a look at it and appreciate it.
All right, guys. Amazing videos from our finalists. I think that you look at all these pieces. We've had some phenomenal entries. These 2 being in the finals is certainly no shame at all. These are 2 outstanding pieces. We were sitting here watching that Terry Sharp piece, and we're not judges, so my mind was blown seeing the way that the hat came off and then the function with the rotation. Just awesome. Really happy that we had a chance to actually see that and get some more insight.
Yeah, because I believe we did miss that in his original videos.
Yeah, well, and that's a nice part about going and exploring this format, right? Is figuring out how we can incorporate more video, be able to showcase more of the artist's personality, right? So they can talk about their entry, their process, how much it means to them. And that came across clearly with Windstar, who we know is somebody who got a ton of votes from our Council of Glass. Really striking piece. So, 2 outstanding finalists. It has been quite a journey to get here. It's been really special working with the CannaPlanners team and really the Burn Gallery team. Everybody who's sort of watching this, there's so much consideration behind the scenes. It's wild. Raj and I get here and start talking production, and they've been talking for hours and texting everybody and emailing. So really kudos to them for running, an incredibly responsive, smooth first-time event. and I know we're going to take a lot out of this. And really, next year, it's all going to be about Pipe Classic. You know, so we're all going to be back together in the same room, shoulder to shoulder,
Can't wait.
Patty said so eloquently. And we can't wait. And we're going to be welcoming one of these competitors to join us and actually be hanging with them right here in Burlington, Vermont, and with all you folks online. So before we sign off, another big thank you again to all the sponsors who helped make this possible, especially Glass Torch Technologies and Moodmats, helping us throw down, being some of our presenting sponsors, as well as Glass Alchemy. Again, familiar faces. They've been supporting this for a while. We appreciate that. The Flow, Stoked Smoke Shop, Glass Vegas, Ropana LLC, Vermont Cannabis Solutions, Fat Guy Edibles, Torch Talk, Upstate Elevator Company, and Willie's Wood. Thank you for making this all possible. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. Please join us again tomorrow night. We are going to be announcing the winners and have even more surprises for you. So, on behalf of the entire Pipe Classic qualifying crew, I'm Eli Harrington.
I'm Rajan Tech.
Signing out.